Welcome to the Republican Roundtable. I'm Jacquelyn America, your host. We have a big election season this year. It's 2026. Minnesota needs some new leadership, and it's midterms across the country. So we have some great guests here today. We have Stan Hamilton. He's the 3rd Congressional District Chair. And we have Jennifer DeJournett, who is the president of the Ballot Box Strategies. And so getting out the vote is really important this year. It's not something that you can just say, oh, hey, I vote, and that's okay. Minnesota is losing, because of our leadership and the poor decisions, we're losing people left and right. They're leaving our state. They're almost 40,000 people that have left the state in the last couple years, and they're bringing their corporations with us. So, Stan, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got involved and what you're working on in CD3?
Sure. I'm glad to be here, Jacquelyn. My name is Stan Hamilton. I am the chair of the Congressional District Number 3. I am a retired business executive. I'm a father and a grandfather, and I'm a novice when it comes to politics, but I'm very passionate about trying to improve the state of Minnesota, particularly for young people and my grandkids. CD3 represents the western suburbs of the Twin Cities, all the way up from Coon Rapids, Anoka. We drop down to Maple Grove, Plymouth, Minnetonka, Eden Prairie, parts of Edina, Hopkins, and Bloomington. So West Metro. And we really need to improve the Republican participation in CD3. Our focus is we have a great executive team, and our focus is on 4 different things. Number 1, outreach to minority communities. Number 2, messaging to swing voters. Number 3, raising funds to support our candidates. And then number 4, the topic we're here to talk about tonight, getting out the vote, particularly with respect to low propensity Republican voters who have a tendency to vote in presidential election years, but maybe take the off years off and not participate. We can't allow that to happen in 2026 if we're going to save Minnesota. So we're at work to try and turn that around.
Sure. And Jennifer, you have a lot of work on working on election integrity and also getting out the vote. And so what kind of overlap here, what can you tell us about, welcome to the show too, but what can you tell us about what's been going on in our elections and why it's so important this year?
Well, I've worked on a lot of campaigns, from presidential level campaigns all the way down to my own county office and everything in between. Last election cycle in 2022, I was the campaign manager for the closest statewide race that has happened in a long time. It was with 8,435 votes. And had we identified mid to low propensity voters, those are voters that just don't vote, like Stan said, every election cycle. There was at least 20,000 of them out in greater Minnesota, in CD7 in particular. That was enough to win 2 statewide races. But statewide, there were hundreds of thousands of voters, of individuals who just fail to vote in an election because they think necessarily their vote doesn't matter.
Sure.
And I've spent over 20 years working on campaigns and for causes, training people how to identify those voters in their own hometowns and where their voice is the most effective, and then reminding their friend, their neighbor, their cousin, or whoever it is, or their family member that lives in their own home. Your voice is really best executed when you turn in your vote. And because people worked really hard to make sure you got that right to vote, and so now it's your duty to return it, so that the people that are elected reflect your values and your community's values and can move the ball in the right direction.
And that particular election that you're talking about was for Ryan Wilson, who was running for state auditor. And if we could have gotten him in to be the auditor, if he would have been elected, we could have stopped some of the voter fraud, or the fraud, daycare fraud and things, because he'd be here in our state doing it instead of having to rely on the federal government to come in and take care of it. So that He lost by what, almost a little statewide? A little-
0.34%, or which turns out to be 8,435 votes. Actually, to the paid statewide recount, it was even closer. It was 1,200 votes statewide out of millions of votes. And you know what's important about that race was it proved that if you have smart, qualified, articulate candidates, and you execute the message very well, you make sure you get your earned media out, you do the work, you travel state, you do the thing. You know, Republicans are right there at the victory, even though they're being outspent by tremendous margins. So the elections are there. It's just important now that final little oomph across the finish line is going to take every single person in their own hometown to identify that friend who hasn't returned that ballot. And then, and I'm sure like groups like STAN and other groups around the state can help get you that information, and then just making sure they vote. And that's the best thing you can do. However someone's going to fill out that ballot, every ballot matters, every ballot in a ballot box.
Yep. So Stan, what are some of the ideas you have for initiative? What are you working on in CD3?
Okay, well, specifically as it relates to get out the vote. First of all, we're calling it mandatory. This is not optional. We have to do this. And I'm gonna play we will play a little short video clip that will explain the initiative, but the reality is we know that in 2024 there were 40,000 more Republican votes cast just in CD3 than there were cast in 2022. Okay. We think we know the names of about 22,000 of those 40,000 voters, and it is our goal to make contact between now and the November election with all 22,000 of those Republican voters in CD3, encouraging them to sign a commitment or a pledge to vote, sign up for permanent absentee ballot status, understand where they can vote early. They just simply need to vote. And what could be better than to find Republican volunteers to meet and greet and talk to fellow Republicans in their neighborhoods. So we started this initiative by reaching out at our precinct caucuses. So we played the video that you're going to see at all of the precinct caucuses, recruiting volunteers to begin this effort.
Okay, well, let's take a look at the video. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Stan Hamilton, and I am the chair of the 3rd Congressional District Republicans, basically the northwest, west, and southwest suburbs of Minneapolis. The reason I'm doing this work is to try and make a difference to benefit Minnesota, and specifically to make a benefit for my grandchildren. I got 2 of them here right now. You got girls want to say hi?
Hello.
Okay, thank you, girls. We have a lot to accomplish here tonight, and your presence is so important. Before we begin with some of the necessary and official duties of the evening, please let me call to your attention the fact that more GOP voters turn out in a presidential election year than turn out in a non-presidential election year. If we are to win Minnesota elections on November 3rd, 2026, a non-presidential year, we must get all Republicans to vote. This is where you come into the picture. We are asking each of you to consider becoming a precinct champion or volunteer within your precinct. If we can get just 5 champions, beginning with you here tonight, for each precinct across CD3, we will then provide that champion with about 30 names of low propensity Republican voters that live in your backyard. You, as our champion, would then have about 6 months to reach out to them, asking them to make a plan to vote. We will provide you with actionable tools to help, and you will be meeting fellow Republicans in your neighborhood. But I don't want you to just take my word for it. I would like you to hear from several other residents of CD3.
Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Myers and I live in CD3.
Hello, my name is Danny Nadeau and I live in CD3.
My name is Warren Limmer and I live in CD3.
Hi, my name is Jim Abler, and I live in CD3.
Hi, my name is Tad Jude, and I live in CD3.
Hi, my name is Ryan Wilson, and I live in CD3.
Hi, my name is Patrick Knight, and I live in CD3.
Hi, my name is Kristen Robbins, and I live in CD3.
Hello, my name is Brad Kohler, and I live in CD3.
Hi, my name is Ron Schutz, and I live in CD3.
Hello, I'm Kendall Qualls, and I live in CD3.
We are asking for help
From each of you
To become a precinct champion
That will, in turn,
Reach out to GOP voters in your backyard,
explaining the importance of their vote.
In November of 2026,
Together, and with your help,
We will win in 2026 and return Minnesota
To a place of balance and common sense.
Thank you for considering this important role.
So, please sign up tonight. Thank you.
That's really cute. What a darling video. And it really makes a lot of sense and really is inspiring and kind of explains, what can be done. So you said this was shown at caucuses, so then you get your precinct chairs involved and you meet your neighbors. And that's really a great idea because you can start out with, the state is so big, and then the Congressional district and Senate district and everything. But you can start in your own neighborhood. And so you're getting people to, how many people to contact? Or
So in a perfect world, we would recruit 5 volunteers in each precinct across CD3. There are 231 precincts in CD3. That would be 1,100 volunteers. We may not get there, but we're going to get to several hundred volunteers. If we got to 1,100, those 22,000 voters, that would be 20 voters per volunteer.
Sure.
If we get to 200 voters, we'll have 100 voters per volunteer. So we got signups at Precinct Caucus. We have about 150 volunteers identified already today.
Yay.
And we are on a campaign to recruit more volunteers. Maybe we'll get 300-400 volunteers. That's when the work will begin. We will provide those volunteers with training and tools, walkbooks, phone lists, actionable items like where to get a permanent absentee ballot. Where is your polling place? Will you sign up? Just kind of an informal commitment to vote in November. And what could be better than meeting fellow Republicans in your own neighborhood? Right. So we're excited about the prospects, but it's going to take the help of our Senate district chairs, our precinct chairs, and all of these precinct volunteers. Yeah. But we're committed to doing it, and we would like to see this effort replicated by other groups or other congressional districts across the state.
Sure.
Because the 40,000 votes that were not Republican votes that didn't show up in the non-election year in CD3, you can take that number and multiply it times, Jennifer, times 10,
Yep.
and we would end up with statewide. I'll let Jennifer answer. How many votes were we short in 2022 versus 2024 at the Republican Party level? It was?
Yep, there was just shy of 400,000 votes. And, Minnesota has some of the most generous election laws in the entire country. Good
generous is a good name for it.
Good and bad. It has a 6-week voting window. And there's a couple things that voters really need to know and why it makes it so easy to not forget to vote. The first is we have a 6-week voting window, so voting starts 6 weeks in advance of an election. They have increased the voting in person where you can take your ballot, fill it in, stick it in a box from 10 days to 18 days before the election. So you have 18 days, you're going out to the grocery store, pop into your city hall, fill out that ballot, stick it in so you don't forget. You can also, if you're someone that likes to travel or you might forget to vote or it's just more convenient for you, you can decide to put yourself onto the permanent absentee ballot rolls. Now, that doesn't mean that if you wanted to vote in person on election day or early, you can still do that. But what happens in that instance is the ballot automatically gets mailed to your home. You choose to put in. It's an opt-in, not an automatic. Okay. So you select it, and then that ballot automatically gets mailed to you so you can't forget to vote because it arrives right on your kitchen table. Sure. And little things like that, when we're out talking to voters and reminding them about the election, which is pledge to vote, let us know and how to plan your vote. Are you going to vote early in those 18 days? Do you need us to remind you to vote the day before the election so you don't forget because you're an election day voter? Or if you just think it's easier for you, we can give you the paperwork and show you how to get on a permanent absentee ballot list.
Sure.
All those contacts are really important because you know what none of that has to do with? A specific candidate, because it helps all candidates up and down the ballot, top of the ticket, all the way down to the bottom of the ticket, and it helps people realize that if they vote, their voice matters, and it helps everyone get more, have more belief in the democracy and the election process, because when you vote, you're invested, and when you're invested, you pay attention.
Sure. And so now, aren't places like in Greater Minnesota, don't they just do ballots? They have mail-in ballots. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So some parts of the state, not in CD3, for example, but in some parts of the state, the areas that are really, really rural, the township board could have chosen to not have a precinct location on election day, so those voters automatically get mailed their ballots if they're registered to vote. Not all voters, you got to be registered. And so you can choose to return that ballot, or those voters can go to their county office and vote in person. So those voters, to be honest with you, tend to be the most Republican.
Sure.
Because they're out in rural Minnesota. And that's where, when we look at 2022, the heartbreak that was, and trust me, I was watching those ballots come in till 5 a.m. in the morning, and you've never seen Jennifer cry as hard as I did at 5:01 when I realized the road was just short.
Yeah.
Is that there were 22,000 voters in western Minnesota who failed to return their vote, who knew where they were. They got that ballot. And it's not that they wouldn't have voted, because when I traveled the state for 4 years after that election, community after community, and told neighbor after neighbor how many votes were left in their own cities and townships across the state, people just, they get that ballot and they forget to return it. Best practice is when someone gets an automatic mailed ballot or an absentee ballot, once it hits their house, if it does not come back gets sent back in within 7 to 10 days of receipt, that ballot gets lost. It gets under someone's kitchen table, their kid draws on it, it accidentally gets stuck in, the missing mail, and then they forget to return it. They think maybe they voted, but they don't know for sure. They don't go and check, because there's an online portal for that, and then their ballot doesn't get cast. So it's it becomes a cascade. So having intentional, focused efforts like the one Stan is proposing, and the amazing leadership in CD3, and they have been the most energized, focused, hardworking group I've seen in CD3 in a long time, is so critical to success, not just for elections, but also to make sure that our democracy is stronger. Because when everyone votes, everybody wins.
Well, it's about getting organized too, and the Democrats absolutely we pale in comparison to them at times. I know that the unions have people sign up, fill out postcards and remind people in their neighborhoods and friends and things to vote. I know that they're pretty good at, they get out to vote early too.
Yep, and they really focus on providing good voter education throughout the process. And what I've noticed over the years by watching is they, what a lot of effective groups do, whether it's nonprofits or other, they really encourage people to plan your vote. And I asked one of my friends, what is this planning your vote? I'm not normal, so I wake up every day and I look, can I vote today? And if I can, I'm a little bit sad.
Sure.
But my friend explained to me the concept of planning your vote is that it locks in a promise in someone's head that I am going to vote and this is when I'm going to vote. So then they're more likely to take the third action, which is voting. So getting people to lock that in. Also, that pledge your vote is also important too, because again, it's that promise that someone says, oh, I promised to vote, so I'm gonna go do it. Yeah. And that's why these hardworking efforts, again, that CD3 is leading on is so critical. And it's needed work, and it's work that, to be quite honest, needs to be done statewide.
Sure, yeah, so Stan, how much time would people have to, if they're volunteering, what kind of time frame are you looking like? It's a couple hours a week, or what?
Well, let's say that
training. What's with the training?
Well, from a training perspective, we might coach them on a Zoom call or something for an hour, hour and a half. It's not difficult. If you have 30 names of people within a 1 mile radius, and you've got from April until October to contact 30 people in your neighborhood, I mean, it could be a door knock, it could be a phone call, It could be a neighborhood picnic that you sponsor at your house and invite these 30 people to come over and meet each other. Sure. So it's not a huge, it's a very small time commitment when you think about it over a 4 or 5 month period of time. And we would, ideally, you would reach these people, you'd kind of develop a friendship or a relationship with them and contact them more than once over that 3 or 4 month period of time. But it's not a big time commitment that we're asking for. But the reason this is so important here in Minnesota, our House, right now we have 67, correct me if I'm wrong here, Jennifer, we have 67 Republicans, we have 67 Democrats. Right. In the Senate, we have 34 Democrats and 33 Republicans. The state, you know, some people might say it's a blue state, but we are split. Purple. The work that we do, and if you're a Republican that lives perhaps in a blue district, let's say in Minneapolis, you say, well, I'll never get my state representative or my state senator across the finish line because it's deep blue here. Your vote in that district is vital as it relates to these statewide races, whether it's the governor, the attorney general, the auditor, the secretary of state, or a U.S. senator. So this get out the vote is just so important in this election cycle to saving the state of Minnesota and really turning things around for the better. Right. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. I feel we need to do it. And I think we can secure that victory. Wouldn't it be nice to wake up on November 4th of 2026 and have a Republican trifecta?
What?
That would be a home run.
No, that would be great.
And it's possible. Yeah. It's within our reach if we all come together and work on it.
Right. Well, and so many things have happened with the DFL. A lot of people that are true Democrats, we had in Senate District 43, we had about 12 Democrats show up to caucus that they were like, that's not my party. I don't know who these people are. And so just talking to your neighbors, you know, because people don't do that anymore. You know, you don't talk religion and politics. Well, look at the mess we're in because we don't talk about stuff. So just talking to your neighbor, you know, depending what they are, if you can find something that you agree upon, you know, and inspire each other, and then get those conversations at least going out there, then we're not demonizing each other, right? Right. You know, because I don't remember that when I was younger, demonizing someone because they didn't vote like you. So yeah. So Jennifer, what would you think of all the things that we're talking about here? What do you think is the most important regarding inspiring people to get out the vote? Because I mean, we can say, you know, I just voted. That's not cutting it anymore. We got to get people to volunteer. You have to put some boots on the ground. What would you suggest?
Yep, I would say the easiest way to get someone to vote is obviously the people closest to you. Mm-hmm. So, for example, my husband, I'm not going to out him, his name is Todd. Todd would not vote except for the fact that I love voting so much that I take my husband to the polls, right?
Good for you.
Yeah, ditto for my husband, ditto for my son, Michael Patrick. I always make sure my 2 college kids fill out that absentee ballot application, and they get it, and they return that ballot. I know my district's a swing district, so rather than vote on their college campus, to be honest, their ballot is worth more sitting at our house and voting in their own hometown. So that's the first thing. The individuals closest to you. Think like an airplane. You want to always put on your first face mask first. Then the second part is, again, your friends, your book clubs, your social clubs, sending out that note to them. And then there's the voters that just need that little extra special touch. Sure. You know, I was calling in the last election 2 years ago for one group and helping them remind people to vote. I was calling in just like the voters that Stan is mentioning here. Mm-hmm. Do you know that 3/4 of the people that I called, and I called hundreds of thousands of people, told us that they'd never have gotten a call from a fellow Republican reminding them to vote? Wow. And so that was like a surprise to me. They were picking up those phone calls, and they were good phone calls because they were answering, because they weren't getting those inundated phone calls that they get from people. Sure. And I could see where we made those calls. There was an increase in voter turnout. The other thing I learned is that by not calling our voters that need that extra reminder, we miss things. So for example, one lady I found, she is struggling with transportation issues. She's a little older. And she said she needed someone a ride to the polls. That was really important to her. She didn't want to vote absentee because she liked that social connection, but she needed someone to come pick her up, and could I help find someone? So guess what? I wrote down her name, connected her with somebody else, they picked her up, then they went out for coffee after, and then she got home and not only was her vote important, but more importantly, that personal connection to talk to somebody and meet a new person was also important to that person's life.
Right.
So it's a little bit of things like that matter. I think we're just so busy in lives, or we think we can social media ourselves our way into it, and we forget the most important thing about politics. Politics is about people.
Right.
And it's that personal connection that is the most effective thing we can do and important.
And it's more important to vote for state and local candidates than the president, because the president doesn't really affect your income taxes or your property taxes, or that's all local and statewide. So
there was a study once that said 90% of the laws that impact our daily life happen to those people that are elected within your own state borders. We see that we see the clanging bells on TV talking federal stuff, but the point is that when more people vote and we get a full cross-section of American democracy voting, and that includes our Republican friends that have not been always good at returning their ballots on time or in person or getting into that ballot box, then we're getting laws that may not reflect the true cultural value of our state. And I think it's important that everybody gets a chance to vote, and that's why I'm a firm believer in Stan's efforts and the efforts that are hopefully going to happen, and particularly across the state, so that we get all those ballots in.
Yeah. So if you request a ballot, within 7 days you need to mail it back in or drop it off, or
Yep. So the kind of the TikTok of it is you can put yourself on the permanent absentee ballot list, and then in counties across the state, there's this particular day where the ballot will be mailed to you. And once the county mails, it usually is about 3 to 5 days till it hits your house.
Okay.
And then really 7 to 10 days to when it has to get returned.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Stan?
Well, I agree. It doesn't have to go back in 7 to 10 days, but if you haven't acted on it within 7 to 10 days, the fear is that you've forgotten it, misplaced it. So what we want to do is encourage people who get that absentee ballot to take care of it when they get it submitted. They can drop it off at a ballot box, they can mail it in, but we want them to take action on it before it's out of sight and out of mind. So come on, Minnesota, get those ballots sent in. We got to take it. Wouldn't it be awesome to have that trifecta, wake up and have that trifecta, Republican House, It would put a smile on my face, I'll guarantee you that. Okay? Yay. I appreciate your efforts, so thank you.
And if people want to find information on voting, or where they vote, or where they can get a permanent absentee ballot or register to vote, all they have to do is go to mnvotes.org, and they can get that information directly, or visit Stan's website, and I'm sure... What's your website?
Oh boy, you're going to put me on the spot. It's the CD, just Google CD3 GOP, and it'll get you there. Sure, and the mngop.com too should have that as well. Yeah. So it has links to the congressional districts and things too, so about voting. So.
And they can always find me at ballotboxstrategies.com. If they send me an email, I'll help them get connected to Stan or anybody in their hometown who can help them and get them more information and get them voting too. Well, great. Well, I hope you guys come back and visit us again, and thank you for all that you do. Really appreciate it, and thanks for coming out and hanging out with me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us for the Republican Roundtable. We'll see you next time.